Abe Carver has been one of the most beloved characters on Days of Our Lives for years. So whenever anything bad happens to him, fans fear he might be leaving the soap, but thankfully, over the years, Abe has been through the ringer and always comes out the other side stronger than ever. The character was introduced back in October of 1981 and had always been played by James Reynolds. Abe hoped to rid Salem of crime, including the villainous Stefano DiMera. He had failed relationships with Nikki Wade, Valerie Grant, and Tamara Price before finding love with Lexi Brooks. Unfortunately, Lexi discovered that her Aunt Frankie was really her mother and her father was Stefano DiMera, which caused problems frequently throughout their marriage. Next, Abe was caught up in the murder of Tony DiMera, and he and Lexi flew to Paris to rescue a kidnapped Marlena Evans. However, they were forced to break Stefano out of jail because he had a drug that could save Roman's life. Lexi didn't want to tell Abe the truth about their son. Jesse Grant/JPI Abe and Lexi were devastated when they learned that the little boy they'd adopted was actually Bo and Hope's son who Stefano had switched at birth. Abe was furious that Lexi had discovered the truth and kept it from him so they could continue raising Isaac, but they ultimately reconciled. A more complicated situation arose when Brandon Walker arrived in Salem with a grudge against Abe. During a weak moment, Lexi slept with Brandon, and when she became pregnant, she didn't know who the daddy was. Thankfully, Abe turned out to be the baby daddy, and in fact, it was later revealed that Brandon was Abe's illegitimate son with Faye Walker. Abe was just the first victim of many. Jesse Grant/JPI Tragically, on the day of his son, Theo's, christening, Abe was shot dead, the first victim of the Salem serial killer. Months later, he and the other murdered residents of the town were discovered very much alive on a remote tropical island. Unfortunately, after reuniting with his family, Abe discovered he was going blind and suffered impotency issues. He accused Lexi of cheating on him with tech, and when his eyesight was restored, he actually caught them in bed together. Still, Abe and Lexi were able to reconcile again, and they were together until she was presumed dead in a car accident. His eyesight deteriorating again, Abe underwent another retina transplant, and Lexi was discovered being held hostage in the tunnels under Salem by Andre DiMera. The couple was reunited and became a family with Theo once more. Frustrated with the corruption at City Hall, Abe ran for mayor and was elected in 2008. Despite accusations of tampering, Abe was also re-elected in 2011. Abe and Lexi's love story came to a tragic end when she was diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor. Choosing to spend time with her loved ones over treatment, Lexi spent her remaining days with her friends and family and ultimately died in Abe's arms as they sat together in the garden. Abe continued to raise Theo on his own and continued to work with the Salem PD on occasion. In 2015, Abe was asked to take over again as mayor and he agreed. Abe was forced to say goodbye to his son, Theo. XJJohnson/JPStudios.com Abe found himself reconnecting with his former ex, Valerie, but after giving her a series of expensive gifts, he was arrested for being Dario's silent accomplice in the counterfeit money scheme. Thankfully that was all just an elaborate sting to flush out the real criminals. JJ shooting Theo in the line of duty caused heated conflict between the Carvers and the Bradys, but as his son got better, Abe backed off, and after Theo left town to recover fully, Abe turned his attention to Lanny Price, the daughter he hadn't known Tamara had given birth 2 years ago. Although Abe and Sheila only had a close friendship, Jack exposed their affair at his press rally to humiliate him. Sheila resigned as his assistant to salvage his mayoral run, but there was no salvaging his relationship with Valerie. Abe was happy to give Lanny away at her wedding to Eli, not realizing Gabby was going to force her to dump him at the altar. After a year passed, Abe was stunned to learn that Lanny had been living in Europe studying to be a nun. When his daughter chose to return to Salem, he asked her to return to work at the police force and happily gave her away when she finally did marry Eli. Abe found himself drawn to Lanny's and Paulina Price, but their budding relationship was derailed when he learned that her plans for Horton Square included demolishing the place to build a superstore. He joined everyone else in protesting the demolition and convinced Paulina to change her mind. And while happy that Theo came home for another visit, he wasn't crazy about his decision to marry Sierra while she still didn't have her memories. Stay tuned today to see how Abe's story continues. Ad block test: why?